Hey, welcome to Dawn. This is a space of reflection and contemplation. So wherever you're watching this, whoever you are, I hope this time is helpful to you and gives you some things to ponder, to meditate on. I remember reading a study in 2021, and it said that 3 out of 4 16 to 25-year-olds expressed some fear of the future. So they literally felt like they didn't know what was going to happen in their life. They felt like the future was unknown, and they expressed some form of anxiety or fear around the idea of the future. I read some statistics, and they called this anticipatory anxiety. And it said that just over 40% of people, and this was a study on a website called IPOS, it said just over 40% of people, both in America and in the UK and in some other countries that they studied as well, also expressed the same feeling, this is in adults, that they just had a fear of what was to come. It might have been a specific fear of, I don't know what I'm going to do in my career or my family or whatever it might have been, but they expressed some fear of what's to come. I don't know what is going to happen in my life. I don't know whether you have ever experienced that same feeling where you've been sat there, things just feel a little bit shaky, maybe things feel uncertain in your life. You feel like, I just don't know what is going to happen. I don't know what my life is going to look like. I have a fear of the future. The problem is, if I was to say to you, I believe that God has created every single one of us with an intentional purpose and design, and He has given us something to do here on this earth. He has designed you to be the person that He has made you to be. So if I was to tell you that, often we would feel like, but I have this fear of the future. I have a fear of all that's to come. What if I don't make it? What if I can't become that person? And you sit there and you hear those things. God's got a future for you. God's got a plan for you. And you think, well, I really don't know what's going to happen. How could that happen for me? The thing is about fear is fear often stops us in our tracks. It almost like paralyzes us in our life. I remember crossing over a railway crossing on the street, and I was driving. There was a car in front of me, and the car in front of me, as it goes over the rail crossing where the train crosses over the road, it suddenly put on its brakes and went really slowly. You could tell that they were really afraid in case the barriers were up and a train was going to come or something. I was thinking, how funny. If that was me and I was afraid of the train, I would be going across that as fast as I possibly could. But the thing is about fear, fear holds us in the place of pain and holds us in the place of danger far longer than we actually need to be there. Fear stops us where we are, paralyzes us. So how do we become the people that God has made us to be when we have a fear of the future? Well, the Bible tells us exactly how to do it. I've got 3 verses I want to share with you, and I hope that this gives you a little bit of substance to reflect on today. 3 areas of our life that we need to strengthen, or that we need to maybe address or look at in our lives if we want to face the future with hope, face the future with faith, rather than face our future with fear. The first verse is 2 Corinthians 10 verse 5, and this is the Bible teaching us that we need to strengthen our head, strengthen our thought life, strengthen our mind. It says this, 2 Corinthians 10 verse 5 says, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. When we find ourselves facing the future with fear, one of the first places that starts is we begin to spiral. We begin to overthink. We begin to wrestle with things in our mind, and we get really caught up, and we begin to think of all the things that can go wrong. We begin to go to places in our mind. Maybe we go to places of sin, or maybe we go to places of dysfunction, or places that are just really unhealthy for us as people. Well, Paul is encouraging the church of Corinth. He's saying we take captive. It's almost this picture of like headlocking someone or taking someone as hostage. As some of these thoughts that will go on in our minds when we are in places of fear, the Bible teaches us that we need to grab hold of them until they submit to Jesus. He's saying, be careful of your mind, strengthen your mind. My encouragement to you today is this: if you find yourself fearing the future, have a look at some of the thoughts that you're thinking. Have a look at some of the places that you're going to in your mind. Are they fueling that fear, or are they fueling that faith in Jesus, who wants to lead you to be the person that He has made you to be? So the Bible says, strengthen your head. Second thing is this: the Bible teaches us in Proverbs chapter 4:23, strengthen your heart. It says this: above all else, guard your heart, for everything that you do flows from it. So often when we find ourselves in these times of uncertainty or facing that future with fear, we begin to feel like, you know what, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter what I think, it doesn't matter what I feed myself with. You know what, the future's uncertain, I might as well just live in the present, just go for it right now. And although a part of that's okay, being present where you are, but this idea of just throwing everything out the window and being like, it doesn't matter. Well, the Bible says, guard your heart, because everything that you do flows from it. In this time of uncertainty, you need to be careful what it is you're feeding your heart. Are you feeding your heart bitterness? Are you feeding your heart resentment? Are you feeding your heart real hyper negativity? Are you feeding your heart anger? When we find ourselves in these places, strengthening our heart, being like, what am I feeding myself? What am I letting in? What am I watching? What am I listening to? Who are the people that I'm allowing to influence me? Again, are they fueling that fear? Are they fueling that faith in Jesus? The Bible says, strengthen your head, strengthen your heart, and finally, strengthen your habits. Strengthen your habits. In Galatians chapter 5:16, it says this. Paul says to the church, so I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. This is an active picture. He's saying intentionally orient your life, walk by the Spirit. In other words, your habits. How are you setting your life up? When we find ourselves in times of uncertainty, one of the things that goes out the window is our good, intentional, disciplined habits. Are you intentionally doing what you need to do in your life? If I were to ask you right now, in the light of this, if you want to achieve something in your life, you want to be who God has made you to be, are your habits aligned with that person? Are your habits aligned in your life with who it is God is making you to be or has made you to be? I wonder whether you would be able to say, yeah, 100%. In times of fear, we need to reflect on the habits in our life. Are they good habits? Are they habits that are leading me to Jesus? Are they habits that are strengthening my mind and strengthening my heart? Are they habits that are leading me to be the person that God has made me to be? So there are three areas that the Bible encourages. If you want to face the future with hope, face the future with faith and expectancy, we need to strengthen our mind, strengthen our heart, and strengthen our habits. They're just three areas I want you to reflect on in these few moments. Just think, have I been feeding myself with things that are really dysfunctional and unhealthy? Have I set my life up in the way that it needs to be? Maybe get out a notebook and write a few notes. What am I feeding my mind with? Am I taking those thoughts captive? What are my habits like? What am I feeding my life with? Spend these few moments. I hope this morning has been helpful for you. I hope this time has been reflective for you as well. I encourage you, God has placed future within you, and all of these things will contribute, will all help you to step into that future with hope and expectancy.